Hello everyone, how are you feeling today? LRS everyone here coming at you with a Blue Eyes deck profile update post Legendary Collection Kaiba. So I'm super excited to give you this update, as well as I'm super excited that we reached 250 subscribers, which makes me super happy and want to give you guys different kind of content starting at the end of the week, which a friend of mine, which his name is Squishy Prime on the channel, which is been twice on here giving us his Dinos updates, and he's going to do for you guys a let's play of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and other Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, which is going to make me super happy if you guys can help his series, and he's a really awesome guy, so please help and support it at the starting, probably at the end of the week or next week after that. And that's also another thing that's going to happen, is that we're going to have different kind of content for you guys, and yes, the channel is going to become not only me, but still mostly me, and because of that, the channel name probably going to change, starting by when his first video is going to be uploaded to Team NDL or something along those lines, which stand for Northern Duelist League. And the reason is that, like I said, it's going to become more team effort, but probably mostly me. And without further ado, let's get started with the Blue Eyes deck profile, and I'm going to go really quickly for the cards that you know, guys, and we're going to only explain cards that need any explanation. So to start things off, you want to run triple copies of the most expensive card into the deck. It is Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, because it's really important, but I will not recommend to purchase it unless you have the money to, or to wait to a reprint, because this card is just $25 last time I checked. So yeah, I would not recommend to buy one of these if you do not have the money to. Next up, you want to run triple copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon, because it's standard, not even a question asked. And then 2 copies of Dragon Spirit of White, because it's your back row removal and just in general a really good card to run at 2. And that pretty much does it for your dragons. Now we'll move on for the new support. So I'm running 2 copies of King of D, which is the new monster added to the deck, which I would recommend to run into 2, but if you do not want to, you do not have to. I like this card a lot because they have the effect of being a King of D while it's on the field. Lord of D, and it also have the ability to discard a spell and trap from your hand to the graveyard to add either Flute, Melody, or Rhapsody, which is the new spell, revival spell, from your deck to your hand, which is really cool. I would consider it your worst normal summon in the deck, but it's still really nice, and I don't understand people who are not running it at all. At the very least, I would recommend to playtest with it at 1. I like it mostly at 2, not at 3, because in my opinion, at 3 it's getting clogs, but, you know, this card is really good, and it's also a spell type caster monster, which is really important for the new revival spell, which we're going to talk about it when we get to it. Next up, 3 copies of Sage, because it's standard and it's searching all your level 1 Light Tuner monsters, and then 1 copy of Monster, because it's recycle all of your level 1 Light Tuner monsters, as well as have the ability to shuffle itself to the deck, and because of that you only need 1, and also by doing that you can send an effect monster to the graveyard and revive a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard, which is really cool. And that pretty much does it for the spellcasters. Now we'll move on to the last 6 monsters of the deck, and which 2 of them are hand traps. So first of all, we're going to start with the 3 Whitestone of Ancients, and well as the 1 Legend. Legend is pretty important because you need it at 1 because it's a +1 if you discard it, giving you a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand, not by choice. So if you have discarded it more than 1 time or sent it to the graveyard more than 1 time, it's going to keep giving you Blue Eyes White Dragon until your deck is empty of Blue Eyes White Dragons. So keep that in mind when you're using this card if you do not want to end your Blue Eyes White Dragons and have them in your hand. And the Whitestone of Ancients is really cool because when it's sent to the graveyard at the same turn during the end phase, and while it stays in the graveyard, you had the ability to special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck, of course except Alternative, because Alternative needs to be special summoned by its own effect first. And then it also have the ability to recycle for you a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard to your hand, which is really cool, and because of that you want to run 3 of this card. And then the last monster that I said I'm going to run, which is the Hand Trap monster, it is a spellcaster, but but you're not going to normal summon it if you know what's good for you. And that is 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is really, really cool because it's searchable by Sage, and it's also a really, really nice hand trap to just disturb your opponent Electromite or any kind of annoying monster effect that's kind of going to get in the way of your monster's playstyle or whatever. So that pretty much does it for the spell. Now we'll move on for the monsters. My apologies. Now we'll move on to the spells. That's what I meant to say. We're going to run triple copies of Melody of Uncanny Dragon, a card that you want to activate the latest part of your turn because you don't want to get it to get Ash, because this card is discard a card and add two monsters, which are Dragon type, 3,000 or more attack and 2,500 or less defense, which is probably going to be alternative in Blue Eyes. So yeah, that's a really cool way to see them. And because we don't see this card as all the time, that's why I'm running a King of D. But if you do not want to run King of D, totally up to you. This is a card that King of D can search if you don't see it in your opening hand, and because of that, I'm running King of D as well. But you want to run this card at 3 nevertheless. Next up, you want to run triple copies of Trade-In because it's freaking Trade-In and it can send all of your dragons from your hand to the graveyard, except from the stones. So for the stones, we have something else, which is a card of Consonance, which is sending your stones from your hand to the graveyard and giving you, in a sense, a +1, either during the main phase with the White Stone of Legend, or during the end phase with the White Stone of Ancients, which is really, really cool. And then the last 2 spells for this lineup, I'm running 2 copies of Dragon Shrine because it's pretty much a Foolish Burial for all of your dragons. Especially Dragon Spirit of White is the one that you want to Foolish Burial the most because it's counted as a normal monster while it's in your hand or graveyard, which can trigger the second effect of Dragon Shrine to give you to Foolish Burial another dragon. Really, really cool, really, really important, and in my opinion, you want to run at 2. Next up, we'll move on to the revival spells. In my opinion, you only need 2 revival spells, but you can, not 2 revival spells, 8 revival spells, that's what I meant, but you can do whatever you want, and the first one of them is Return of Dragon Lords. This card is really, really amazing, and in my opinion, if you want to get this card as cheap as possible, please purchase free structure deck of Feral Grant, $10 each, and not you only getting also 39 more cards, but you also have the ability to get this card, which is for some reason, even though it's a structure deck card, it's costing like $15. Even though he has a secret rare reprint right now, which by itself also costing like $10 to $12. So I would recommend to purchase the structure decks, and you already know what Return the Dragon Lord does, reviving level 7 or 8 dragons, not the hard ones per turn, giving all of your dragons protections. Really, really good card overall. Next up, I'm running 1 copy of Silver Cry because it's a disrupting spell, but you don't, like I said, you only need to run, in my opinion, 8 revival spells. Totally up to you, but Silver Cry is the worst one, and if Monster Reborn, which is one of the lineup of the spells going to be here, is going to get banned again, I would run 2 Silver Cry. But in my opinion, you need only 1, because it can revive your normal dragons, but yeah, it's pretty much the worst out of all of them, even though it's pretty good. Next up, you want to run 2 copies of Dragon Revival Rhapsody, because Dragon Revival Rhapsody giving you the ability, if you control a spellcaster monster, to revive 2 dragon monsters, at least one of them is normal monster, from your graveyard by your opponent take no damage. But who cares? It's a really, really good card going first, and it make Blue Eyes going first a little bit more consistent, because you can revive 2 dragons, go to an Xyz, go into a fusion, go into a synchro, and even go into a link depending on the situation. Really, really good card. Really recommend it at 2 because you don't want to see it at 3 because the hard ones per turn. Obviously, because it's so good, but you want to see this card, and that's also why I'm running King of D, either to search this or Surging Melody, depending on the situation, and this card is really, really important. And then you also want to run 1 copy of Monster Reborn, because Monster Reborn is the best revival spell in the game, like the most generic one, except from, of course, Soul Charge, but Soul Charge is a monster revival, so I'm talking about, like, 1 monster. So this card is really, really cool, and I'm so happy that he back off the ban list. But, of course, if it's going to go back on the ban list, I would recommend to run 2 Silver Scry. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the revival spells. Like I explained, I believe you only need 8. But if you want to run like 9 or 10, is totally up to you, but that's just my playstyle. And then the last 2 spells of the deck, which are my personal attacks, I'm running 1 copy of Mausoleum of White because it's another normal summon for your level 1 Light Tuna monsters, as well as just a Foolish Barrel for your normal monster in a sense. And it's also really cool to run because I'm running Ancient Fairy Dragon finally in the extra deck because I have it finally because of Legendary Collection Kaiba. Thank you, Konami, for that at the very least. And because of that, this card can become really, really fun to use when your opponent have a field spell, you pop their field spell, and you're getting a free field spell direction from your deck. Of course, you can card this card for a Twin Twister, Raigeki, Dark Hole, whatever you want if you need to, but I actually like Mausoleum of White a lot in the deck. And then I also running one copy of Ruin of the Divine Dragon Lords. Again, a card you can cut down if you do not like, but I like it a lot because its effects state as such. If you have a level 7 or 8 dragon, if you have this card and you control 11 or 8 dragon, all monsters that is special summon, even your monsters, but it doesn't really matter because you use it as a floodgate, they have their effect negated until the end of the turn. So for example, your opponent summoning like a Deco Talker will not get its buffed and it's not get its protection, and you know, you can be a lot of examples, but only if they're special summoned while not from the graveyard. If they're special summoned from the graveyard, their effect will still work. So keep that in mind, as well as this card have the ability to recycle itself by sending a level 7 or 8 dragon from your hand to the graveyard, which is really nice, and in the future it will become even more better in the deck because it has the ability to send a monster from your field to the graveyard, and then you can generate a token, which is going to be a dragon token. And because you're generating a dragon token, you have the ability to bring out the Heroic Link monster a lot more easily. But because we do not have it, I am not running, you know, more than one of this card, even though I don't think you need to run one of this card. But like I said, it's not that good because of that yet. And that pretty much does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on for the extra deck. So first off, we want to start with one Twin Burst, which is the only fusion you need in my opinion. 2 copies of Blue-Eyed Spirit Dragon, which is a really amazing synchro monster, and you want to run it at 2 because it's one of the most important cards in the extra deck, which can target for you free synchro monsters because of its effect, which is Azurai Silver Dragon, which I like to summon mostly in my opponent's turn, which is really nice, but you only need 1 in my opinion. 1 copy of Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, and 1 copy of Ancient Fairy Dragon, because I like to tune one of these depending on the situation. And to finish up the Synchro monster, I'm running 1 copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, because you can just make this card by using Ancient Fairy Dragon or Black Rose Dragon and using a level 1 Light Tuner. Now, you want to run, if you don't want to run one of the Ancient Fairy Dragons and you want to run like 1 Azure, or like, you know, the mini dragons, you can cut this down and run 2 Azures, but I just believe you want to run a different lineup because this is a disruption during either player's turn. This is the quickest way to bring out Crystal Wing, and this one is just pretty much the best option most of the time out of, you know, bringing out Crystal Wing. And that pretty much does it for the Synchros. Now we'll move on for the XCs. So first off, 1 Cypher, 1 Armor, and 1 Dark Matter for the Xyz lineup of Galaxy monsters. 1 Lancelot if you do not have 38, but it's still really good for attacking for game and to be another, not by your decision negate, but still a negate. 1 copy of Sky Prison because it's just a cool card and it's a nice rank 8 that can become bigger. 1 Akashic Magician, 1 Deco Talker, and 1 Borolo Dragon for your Link monster, which I don't really care because I just using those Link monster as like when I need them. And people are going to ask me why I'm running those 2 because they're like needing effect monsters. But first of all, I have Akashic so we can stand up for like 2 materials for one of them, as well as have like the ability, if I'm using Rhapsody, I can just get 1 normal monster, which is even can be Dragon Spirit of White, which is an effect monster, and then I can also use the other spellcaster, so that's really, really cool. And that pretty much does it for the extra deck and does it for the deck profile. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm really, really happy that we reached 250 subscribers. And like I said, at the end of the week, we're going to have Squishy Prime Let's Play series going to start right up, hopefully. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So hope you guys enjoyed. And remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys, and stay safe. And once again, thank you so much for reaching 250 subscribers. Have a good day, guys.